Representative Peter Terosian. I'm going to open the hearing. Mayor conference, continuation of House Bill 291. Welcome, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
So I'll just start off by saying, I guess everybody got the amendment of this.
Just got it this morning.
Yeah, I apologize. At 1 o'clock.
Speaking for the Senate side and continuing the discussions that we had before, many of the things that are back in here are things that the Senate was not happy with in the original version of the House bill. We did not want the data going to the representatives or the senators. We wanted to go to the, the Secretary of State to produce it, and the AG being the one who reviews it, because they could get data that would not be appropriate to give to the representatives and the senators. And that generated a fiscal note. Well, I guess the whole Senate amendment generated a fiscal note from the AG's office that said that implementing what was in there was going to cost at least $500,000. I explained to the representative of the AG that was not our intent, but speaking directly to the amendment, I'm not happy about lines 24th and 27th. Don't want the report to go to anyone other than Secretary of State and the AG, so all of that would have to change. The number of absentee ballots that were requested by any community isn't as important to me as the percentage that, of voters, because, if I have, a request from a community, that's 2%, even though it may be a large number, but, in a small community, it makes a difference on the numbers and stuff. I think that the 3 could go up to 5, could go up to 10 on the number of ballots sent, because we really are looking for some kind of nefarious act. D, the 20 most common addresses, if you send all the data to them and they have the ability to sort it, they can sort it any way they want. And further information, Secretary of State working together under what they already have the ability to do. So again, I think we're just too far apart on this and trying to come up with a resolution. In the bills that are already passed, we did add in the feature where people are supposed to supply one of the 3 things, and that was the last 4 digits of the Social Security number, their driver's license number and state, or other information that the clerk can verify. And if you don't like my language, I don't like your language, and I don't see that we've got time to get there. But speaking for myself personally, I don't want the data going to senators or the representatives. It's a wrong place to go. It limits the data that you can send. It limits the data that the AG would have a chance to look at, and would cause the review of that data to take a lot longer. We're not looking at 1s or 2s. We're looking at something that would impact an election. So, but any of the other senators that want to speak, but I can't do your own.
Well, I did speak, I also spoke with the AG's office yesterday, and they have some concerns, excuse me, on the language, actually both from the House and the Senate. And I have really concerns about the fiscal note that we have on it now. What I would propose, because I do think this this piece of legislation is needed. I think that I would work with Representative Griffin and Representative Hill this summer to try and put something together that would work for both. And with the AG's office, because I want them in the Secretary of State. So that's something that both sides can look at and not have to worry about going to the committee of comments. 'Cause I think both have some issues, but I'd rather work on it over the summer with the representatives and get something through this fall.
Okay. So maybe you-
I would just echo many of the same comments of my colleagues. I just don't think what we have before us is workable, and I certainly don't think there's time here to resolve these issues.
comment before speak that I think we did what we said we tried to do in virtually the pieces. Say Senator Gray that the like is the data going to the Senate House and compromise Attorney General. Their work. If that was out of the piece with work or just sort of things that don't work.
Again, in my opinion, if we go back to the Senate's version, I can support that. We may want to add a word or two in there for the Attorney General to say that, you know, the scope is limited, you know, that, you know, this is a review of a report. It's not the investigation, because if something in that report leads them to believe that there is some nefarious act that's going on, they've already got under RSA 7C6, I believe it is, all the authority that they need to go investigate that. So, you know, that's as far as I'm willing to go. I don't know that Senator Bertzel is willing to go there, and I don't know whether Senator Susie is willing to get there either. So,
I think that wordsmithing it at this point, I think we need a lot more time than we have by 3 o'clock this afternoon. That's why, you know, I'm more than willing to work with the representatives to get something through that we can work on.
I agree with Senator Bertzel that if you don't look, you're never going to find. Okay, and so we have taken some action this year in putting in some form of identification that doesn't mean that somebody has to have a camera, have a phone, have a whatever to be able to prove something. I mean, how many people know who the officiant, the person who actually married you is if you were married in the state of New Hampshire? I mean, you know, you put that on the form, I was married by, they can go look up your marriage certificate in the clerk's office. That's pretty good, you know, information to me, okay? It's not going to be that person that's out stealing things off of the list or whatever. And there's a myriad of things that they can do. So we have taken action, but not this action. And if we're going to do this action, I want to keep it small. I want to keep looking at the high points, and I want to make it so that we're not limiting the information that we can give to the AG because we're also giving it to the general court person.
Representatives on both sides.
Thank you. I'm happy to work on the bill over the summer. I have to tell, I'm surprised about the fiscal note. It's the first I've heard about a fiscal note. So,
And-
because when it came over to us, we didn't get that.
Exactly, and that's, Nick had contacted me yesterday. I saw apparently he had sent it. No, we didn't get it. I don't know where it went. And he kind of triggered me to call him, and that's when I looked at it, and I'm sorry, I didn't get a copy of it, but it's close to $500,000.
Well, when you,
I think, but I
given
think.
the original scope of what was sent over,
Right, and I think that's what generated me thinking that what he was thinking the bill was doing is not what we had intended. So I realized there's really a lack of communication between the AG's office and us, that we need to get them involved to realize what actually that we're asking them to do. I don't think there was much communication. That's what triggered me thinking we probably have a communication problem.
Thank you.
I can send you a copy of that.
If information from a report that Secretary of State does goes to the Senate and the House committees, and it's an informational report, I guess I don't understand how that compromises what they do.
Information, you've got the address that it's sent to in here. I think that's an open question as to whether that is releasable under RSA 91A. I think that age, especially in these where we're going to have multiple ballots sent to a single address, I think that that is a very important piece of information and could very much limit the number of investigations that you do. You know, if it's a 19, 20-year-old, it's in the community that is noted for colleges like Boston or whatever. You know, that would be things that we wouldn't want them to spend any more time on. And there's other things in there that could be useful to that investigator that could be put into those reports. And again, it is not the legislator's job to go do all of that. And I can't get there.
I guess what I'm seeing here is more that we're saying that it's the Secretary of State's job to
Again, going back to this,
evaluate this and not, I wouldn't see it, and I think some of this comes back to your comment about wordsmithing on this and making it clear. I think in all of this, we have some goals, but we don't have the right words to get to those goals. But the goal is, one of the goals, as I would see it, is that the Secretary of State is routinely evaluating these things. And if everything is clean, the AG is never involved. It's just the Secretary of State. He's in charge of election law. The AG would never be involved. If there are issues that raise a red flag, then the AG is involved. It's clear that I do agree that we're too far apart. It's not going to happen here.
I can see that. I kind of got the feeling that 2 days ago, we wanted to make an attempt based on what our discussion went. And got the Ron said, I think that under the way this was crafted, the intent of the bill was to again follow the Secretary of State deliverables, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're probably on agreement that the premise of the bill was a good idea. It's something that we should go forward with.
I absolutely think so, based on the information that Representative Hill brought in the last session. And I mean, I can expound on that, privately, but I think there are some concerns on if there are absentee ballots going to address, more absentee ballots are going to addresses. I think we really need to find out.
I agree. I don't care if they're college age or otherwise. That's not the issue. The issue is, if you look at the numbers, there's
the
potential
only
for
reason,
problems.
the only reason I brought up the college age is that when Representative Hill presented in front of the committee last year, and I know Senator Sousa was on the committee at that time, that was one of the explanations that was used, that some of these are not a problem because they are, and speaking personally, my granddaughter just graduated from Quinnipiac, they rented an apartment building, okay? Probably 50 or 60 apartments in there, and the kids, instead of sending the mail to the campus address because they had to walk an extra half a mile, had their mail sent to the actual post office address for the apartment building. And so, out of that, there could have been 5 or 10, students from somewhere in New Hampshire, that were there. And so, again, yeah,
But it's good to clarify.
Needs to be clarified.
Further comments? All right.
All right, well, I guess we're
Thank you.
adjourned and
We're in impasse,
hopefully
and,
we'll have something next year that can go through pretty easily.
close the hearing on the conference of, July 1.
No agreement reached, sorry.
We're in agreement.
Is this it for all of you or not?